Okay, so in this video, I will be setting up a station for an artificial nail tip and blending application service. According to the homework instructions, I'm only to apply the artificial tips to the entire hand and blend the tips accordingly, and then demonstrate a post-service infection control. I will not be doing the acrylic application, but I will at least set up for that service, so you can see that I know how to do it. In terms of supplies that are going to be needed for this service, 3 DAPN dishes will be required. 1 is for acetone, 1 is for monomer, which is our light purple liquid, and then 1 is for polymer, which is our acrylic powder. An easy way to get the liquids into the DAPN dishes is to use an eyedropper. So that's one item that we can have at our station. I'm just going to put it right here. We will also need some artificial nail clippers, as well as a coarse emery board and buffer to do the filing in order to prep the nail for a tip application, as well as blending and prepping the tip for gel or acrylic application. Also have just some toenail clippers just in case, orange wood stick, my nail adhesive or nail glue to apply the artificial tips. I also have my acrylic brush, which has been sanitized and cleaned, but we won't be using that for this video. I also have Bond Aid or dehydrator, and then I also have Bond X, our acrylic primer. I'm using the foot today because I'm using my hand for another video, so she's soaking for that. In terms of the artificial tips, I've already picked out the various sizes that I believe will fit onto the toes. It's important that we don't get tips that are too big or too wide, as well as we don't want tips that are too small. So go with the best fit possible. Let me put the tips over here in order so I don't get them mixed up. Okay, so we first want to disturb the nail plate where the artificial tip will be placed. And we do that by filing the nails with a coarse or rough emery board. We just want to get it as etched and rough as possible. Same thing goes with the tips. We don't want anything to have a smooth surface or nothing will stick or adhere. So I'm just roughing up the nail plate with the emery board. Then we will apply the dehydrator or the Bond Aid to each nail. And then depending on the types of nail tips that you have, you can go ahead and cut the corners just to make them fit better, but I think these are pretty good for now. So I'll go ahead and apply the adhesive to the nail tips and then put them on my foot here. So we don't want too much glue. Uh-oh, I think this closed up. Let's see. Yeah. Ooh, I'm gonna stick my fingers together, sorry. Oh, one thing I forgot to put on my station for the acrylic application is a paper towel for when we wipe our brush. But anyway, so I'm going to apply just a little bit of glue to the artificial nail. Then we're going to apply it to the mannequin foot. We want our edges to kind of meet. We don't want the tip to go over the nail wall at all. You kind of want to see the natural nail like fall into place with the edges of the nail tip. That's pretty secure. For the remaining toes, I'm going to put the tips on backwards just for purposes of this video because these are way too curved for these little toes. But it's still the same gist. But on a normal foot, I would obviously put it the correct way. And we want to wiggle that nail tip on so that we don't get any air bubbles underneath the glue. Perfect. Once the tip is pretty secure and dry, then you can move on to the next toe. But sometimes these little mannequin feet are difficult, so here's the last nail. I'm gonna close this up so it doesn't dry out. There's my foot with the artificial tips applied. I'm gonna let that dry just a little bit more before I cut and shape them. So using the artificial nail, oh Lord, sorry about that, it's blue. Give me just a second. There we go. Okay, so using the artificial nail clipper with the flat side facing me, we're just gonna clip these down to an appropriate length. And the best way to not have these tips flying in your face or across the room is to place your finger right here so that you can kind of brace it or hold it as it's being cut. And then it just popped off. And then you can collect your little pieces to the side. So As you can see, they're just still pretty long. I'm just gonna cut them down one more time before I shape them. Sorry, put my foot down. Okay, that's better. Okay, that's much better. So now they're shorter. And then I'm just going to shape them using my emery board. So we want to make sure that our angles where the nail and the artificial tip meet in the corners is straight. You want it to look pretty seamless when doing this. I'm just gonna round these off so that they're not super sharp in the corners. Okay, so you can see here that I've straightened out the edges where the natural nail plate and the tips kind of meet because you want it to look seamless. And I've also rounded the corners so that they're not so sharp and everything's nice and straight in terms of a shape. So then what we're gonna do is blend the tips with the natural nails, but we're not going to file any part of the natural nail plate. We just want to smooth out the tip. Let me rephrase that. We don't want the tip to be smooth. We want it to be level with the natural plate, but we want it to still be rough so that we've prepped it for the artificial acrylic application. So I'm just going to basically file the tip. None of the surface should be smooth, or else anything that we put on it will not adhere. It won't stick. So what I'm trying to achieve, that I think it would take forever with the manicure foot, since there's not an actual nail on it, is that we don't want for there to be a raised edge here to where I'll hit it with something and it gets stuck, it gets caught. We want that to be flush with the nail plate. Trying my best to file it here. I'm gonna go to my buffer that's coarse to see if that'll kind of speed it up a little. Let's see. Yeah, so the big toe looks pretty good. These little ones I think will take more time. They're just so hard to get in to the little grooves here. But yeah, you can see like the idea is that we want this to be blended in, the tip to be blended in with the natural nail, so that when we do apply our acrylic and we add our beads, there won't be so many gaps or bumps, and everything will kind of like come out smooth. But yeah, this is artificial tip application and blending in preparation for acrylic application. And I'm supposed to do post-service infection control, so let's see. Metal implements that were used need to be sanitized and disinfected. These little Dappin dishes can actually be immersed, but everything else that's single use can be tossed in the trash. So I'm gonna go over here. Just gonna readjust just a second. Okay. I'm actually not gonna do this because I didn't use this. So I'll put that back. But the Dappin dishes, I'm just gonna like take them apart. I'm gonna throw everything into my warm soapy water, let it soak for 10 to 15 minutes, as well as my artificial nail clippers. Okay, let that soak in the warm soapy water. That's been soaking. I'm going to brush them. And put them aside. These little pieces get brushed as well. And rinse. These get brushed thoroughly and rinsed completely. Okay. Warm soapy water can go to the side. Right there. Our implements that have just been soaking and rinsed and can be dried. They need to be dried thoroughly. We do not want to dilute our disinfectant solution. Okay, as these are drying, I'm just gonna plop them into our disinfectant solution, our 32 ounces of water to 2 ounces of barbicide. These are going to soak in the disinfectant solution for 10 to 15 minutes. Lastly, this one. Okay, so while those are soaking in our disinfectant solution, we are going to sanitize and disinfect our station. So I'm gonna come back over here. Okay, flicking it to the side. These were not used. This was not used. I'm gonna wipe these down since I did use these. everything here, single-use items, can be thrown away in the trash. My terry cloth towel will be tossed in the laundry where it will be sanitized. I've properly washed my hands for 20 to 30 seconds with warm soapy water and dried them. I'm putting on a fresh new pair of disposable gloves. Going to sanitize my station. Then I'm going to disinfect my station. I'm going to let that dry for 2 minutes. Once that has dried, I'm going to take a new disposable paper towel and dry the area. All of those wipes, all of the paper towels, my disposable gloves, everything can be tossed in the trash. That is post-service of an artificial tip application and blending service.